and what is the effective strategy of teaching and or assessment which will completely reflect what is the comprehension of the subject taught, of the concept taught, whether the child is able to apply it. That now we have even got apps which can be used to format assessment strategies for autistic children, and they will also be judged according to their innate capabilities of learning. And learning profiles can be created, assessment profiles can be created in such a manner that the curriculum speed and content can be adjusted according to a learner, and assessment can take place on those dimensions. Assessments have been the bane of education for the longest, because whatever strategies we may try, eventually at the end of it, it is always a slightly dubious outcome, as in whether the student is satisfied, whether the learner is satisfied with the way he or she has been assessed, and whatever is reflecting eventually in as a result of that assessment, is that the true picture, or is that actually the spot test of the learner's rote memory retention ability? Fortunately for us, now that we have the AI tools and technology at our disposal, I personally feel it has made assessments not only interesting and varied, but it has also answered the need of the learner and the guardians of the learner as to what are the differentiated learning patterns of each individual. Prior to the advent of this particular technology, what we used to do was that we taught and we had one formatted assessment pattern, and the entire statistical entity was given that one pattern paper to give, and on the basis of that we adjudged them to be capable, more capable, most capable, or not up to the mark. But now the learner today, as well as the parent of the learner today, is not interested in knowing where the child stands from roll number 1 to roll number 40 in a classroom. They want to understand, why does the child learn the way he or she learns, and what is the effective strategy of teaching and or assessment which will completely reflect what is the comprehension of the subject taught, of the concept taught, whether the child is able to apply it in any of the situations around him, or where it comes to a metacognition level, can they do something higher with the learned concept. Now, because of this, our assessment strategies have to become varied. And we have to understand that however diverse the classroom orientation may be, we have to create a level playing field for the professional of tomorrow. And for that, it is very important that assessments be catered to identify individual learning abilities, and we have to create personalized learning pathways for each individual in the class. The classic fish and elephant climbing a tree kind of a maxim will not work, and we have all understood that. We have also seen the fruits of such a ubiquitous kind of pattern administered to all at large, and we have felt that rote learning has given us extremely predictable outcomes. And now, when we are focusing more upon competencies, individual competencies, it is imperative that we cater to the individual's learning needs. So, what AI has done, what integrating AI into assessment has done, is that we have understood which are the learning gaps for a particular individual in the classroom, what are their strengths, what are their abilities, whether they are visual learners, whether they are audio learners, whether they have, in fact, just to quote an example, The learning gaps and the learning field has been leveled up to certain such an extent that now we have even got apps which can be used to format assessment strategies for autistic children, and they will also be judged according to their innate capabilities of learning, and therefore they are also an intrinsic part of inclusive learning programs. So it is not as if they are integrated into the mainstream and yet are made to feel less than their peers or their colleagues. So I think what we have gained from the AI based learning assessment patterns is greater flexibility for the mentor to tutor the mentee according to his or her personalized needs, and therefore to shape them into making concrete career options and choices based upon their potential and their abilities. Also, it creates understanding between the diversity in the classroom, and the teacher or the educator is able to bridge the gap between various levels of intelligences, and at the same time, in a non-homogeneous classroom, there is a sense of cohesion which is created. The learning tasks can now be engineered in such a fashion that there is inclusivity, that there is greater collaboration, and therefore there is understanding at different levels of a concept which has been taught. So what we call as hyper-personalized learning pathways have been created, and learning profiles can be created, assessment profiles can be created in such a manner that the curriculum speed and content can be adjusted according to a learner, and assessment can take place on those dimensions. What it gives to the parent, for example, an assessment to a parent who does not comprehend the intricacies of a rubric. Supposing it is a parent who is compromised where literacy is concerned. Now you can use AI to generate an audiovisual report or a recording wherein the mentor or the teacher is talking to them and presenting the record of their child's academic performance, not in terms of marks, but in terms of a conversation which is easily comprehended by the parent. So, there again, the parent becomes an participant, observer, and an important stakeholder in the process of the child's teaching learning. Linguistic barriers, of course, can be again addressed. So I feel that use of AI develop strategies of assessment will affect greater positive learning outcomes, will affect a better understanding between the mentors and the mentee, and will create a level playing field across diversities of potential and abilities. So, for me as an educator, it is an extremely positive step forward. And I would just like to sum it up by saying that we are not learning from AI, but we will be learning with AI. We are not assessing because of AI, but we are assessing with the help of AI. The productivity and the understanding and the application definitely seems to be on a better, higher curve with this technology.